Yes.
Great, great, great. Once again, good morning. Welcome to another Sunday meeting here with Sunrise. And it's 10:30 a.m. here in Houston, Texas. Today we have a very nice and special talk with our dear friend Elaine Stur. She's going to bring us science down through the ages. And after Elaine's talk, we're going to have the radiations, the prayers, and Claudia will bring us the last announcements, right? Just reminding that right now our teens are joining us for this talk, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be great. So to get started, I want to call my friend Christina Borneo to conduct the initial prayer for us. Christina, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everybody. So let's close our eyes. Let's keep our minds filled with good and elevated thoughts. And let's feel the presence of Jesus in our hearts. Being thankful for the opportunity to be here today with the purpose of learning a little bit more about spiritual truths. Now let's involve in our best thoughts of love and light our dear friend Elaine, who will conduct our study today. With the help of God, our Father Jesus, our Master and the spiritual mentors of this group, let's ask permission to start our study of today. So be it.
So be it.
So be it. All right, Eleni, if you would like to share your screen, feel free to do so. And it's on you now.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Here is
Okay.
it.
Okay. So first, thanks for the opportunity of being here today again to talk a bit this very interesting topic. And thank you all for your time of being here this beautiful Sunday morning. So the topic that we choose for today, we call Science Down Through the Ages. So this title, it's coming from a very interesting book that we're gonna talk a bit very soon. And for me personally, this topic is quite interesting. So I'm a biologist, so I really always enjoy science a lot, and I always enjoy the evolution, molecular biology a lot. And for me personally, it was quite interesting when I start to learn about evolution. And then was even more interesting when I have the chance to learn a bit more about the evolution of the world, but by the spiritual side was quite interesting. As we're gonna see, they match so many times, they have so much similarities that we feel even more confident in the doctrine. We feel that we are really learning a lot here. So, and so basically today we're gonna talk a lot about Genesis. And Genesis, we have two very important books that talks a lot about it. One is the Genesis that was written by Allan Kardec, and the other one, that is the one that we're going to focus a bit more today, is called On the Way to the Light, that was written by Francisco Cândido Xavier by the Spirit Emmanuel. So both books, they talk about Genesis. They talk about the beginning of the time, but they also talk about the transition of the world since the beginning until nowadays. But they have some difference. The Genesis from Allan Kardec, of course, it brings the spiritual side, but when you read it, you can feel that it's quite a scientific book. It really explains chemically, biologically, so many different processes. And On the Way to the Light is going to focus a bit more on the spiritual side. Even in the beginning of the book, they already say that the idea of the book was not really to explain history or biology, because this we already have so many books and so much knowledge about it. but bring the spiritual side, how Jesus, how God were working on the creation together. Just to do some parallel here, the theory of evolution by Charles Darwin was published first in 1859, and the Genesis by Allan Kardec was published in 1868. So as we can see here, both the theory and the book, they were being in some ways developed together. And it's quite interesting because the theory of evolution brings this idea of how the species is gonna change with time, and then Genesis explain the beginning, but also bring this idea of how things change with the time. And and we know that Spiritism has this very strong scientific side of it. So, because by definition, Spiritism is a science of observation and a philosophical doctrine. So, as probably we heard about it before, Spiritism is composed by these three interrelated aspects. There is this philosophic, the scientific, and the religious side of it. Why is important to highlight this here in the beginning? So we know that Allan Kardec, he was a scientist. He was really studying and trying to understand. He was asking questions, making his research, understanding the answers that he was getting it, and then he made conclusions. That's how he wrote the books. So since the beginning, Spiritism has this very strong scientific background. But we always have to remember that in the science world, not in the only the Spiritism work, science has, we are always trying to find explanations for everything, not only for the evolution, but for all the process that we see in the world today. And we have to understand for both sides, for science and in the spiritual side, that we don't know everything yet. There is a lot that we need to learn. All the scientific theories try to explain everything, but even the scientists, they are very clear. We don't know everything. There are so much more things that we need to learn, that we need to understand. And even in the spiritism, there all the time it says that the knowledge that was given for us until today is the knowledge that we're really able to learn and to understand. But of course, as humans, we always want to know more. We want to give name for everything, and we want to find all the explanations for everything. So, but we need to understand that's gonna take some time, no matter if it is only science talking or if spirit is talking or both together. And also, just to make clear, today we also gonna focus in the spiritual side of the Genesis, of the evolution. We're not gonna discuss any scientific theory that try to explain the word. Well, and why we choose the book On the Way to the Light, and why the title On the Way to the Light? So just for us to localize ourselves here, the book was written in only 35 days. So in between August and September of 1938. So it was quite fast to write this book. And then during those years, what was happening in the world? Basically, we know that the Nazis on Europe was growing at that time. And also the economic recession in USA was happening as well. And both together and many other things, but these would be the two big ones. They really had an effect on many, many countries, in basically in the whole world, right? Was not only Germany or only USA that were affected for this process. So the world was going through a big transition. So in the next year, in 1939, was the beginning of the World War II, and basically, what Emmanuel highlight already in the beginning of the book is that the spiritual world was aware of what's going on and also what was coming next. We didn't know yet, of course, but everything was being overseen by the spiritual world. They were aware of this big transition that was to happen in the world, and they were also working together to already start these big reconstructions of the planet by the spiritual forces. So then, well, again, why the name? So the word needed at that moment to understand that the need to connect the creator with the creator. We need to understand that we have a way and we are looking for the way to the light since the beginning. We are working for it. And then also highlight that with all the time we watch as souls change their garments of flesh over the incessant course of centuries. So we are talking about so much time. We are talking about so many changes. And in that moment, so many big changes was happening in the world. And also to highlight this importance that no matter what is really happening, a divine breath moves everything. It can change everything. It can help, it can reconstruct everything. And then races are replaced with souls. We start to look more this idea of souls, of evolution, of learning, of evolving as human beings, morally speaking. And also we start to understand that these generations comprise stages of their learning experience and growth. So basically we change with the time, our souls change with the time, the earth change with the time, but we still having this experience and we still learning from it. And very important, our poor eyes cannot make out all the details. As we said in the beginning, no matter how much science evolve, no matter how far we can go, for now at least, as far as we know, our eyes cannot understand everything from the spiritual side and also in earth from the scientific side. And everything come and go but Jesus. We can see that the language, culture, definition of country, science, religion, everything changed with the time, right? Everything evolved according to the society, or in the society also evolved according to the time. So everything changed. But Jesus, it is with us since the beginning, and he's going to be forever, no matter how much we change, no matter how much the earth, the society change. So, and then the book, the part of the book that we will talk about today is the history of the planet since day one, down to the big transitions that the planet was going through until 1938. But we know as the spirits have more knowledge than us, they probably knew so much more than us at that time. So now let's go to the point that we're going to talk today is the science down through the ages. Well, this topic is, as I said before, is because we're going to talk about the beginning. So, and to talk about the beginning, we heard about the word Genesis. So, Genesis, the definition is a Greek word, and the definition means an origin, creation, or beginning of everything. So it explains how everything started, how was the very beginning. And here it's important to highlight that the idea of the Genesis is so common between all the cultures, not only the religions as well, of course, but everyone always wants to understand how everything started. It can be the scientific point of view, it can be the religious, no matter what, we humans, we have this curiosity to understand how things started and why they are the way that they are, right? So, because this is quite interesting to explore this point a bit. So, here we have a timeline of the evolution of the planet Earth. Let's say even of this solar system, actually. As we can see here in the very beginning, everything we believe from the scientific point of view and also the descriptions from the spiritual world, everything started about 5 billion years ago. So the planet is not new. The construction, everything started quite some time ago. And we're going to see that every single new process, every single new species, or every single new variation takes such a long time to happen. So, and we humans, we are the Homo sapiens species, we appear somewhere between 300 to 200,000 years ago. So we're still quite young when we compare with the history of our solar system as a whole. And today, mainly, we're going to talk more about this very beginning of how Earth was created and how the very first forms of life appear in Earth. Okay, sorry. Let's talk then about the planetary genesis. So this paragraph that I'm gonna read next is from the book On the Way to the Light. And now we can, let's start to imagine what we're gonna talk about now as if we're watching a movie. So everything is happening and in a very organized way to begin with. And then the books start saying, the traditions of the spirit words say that in the governance of all the phenomena of our system, there is a community of pure spirits chosen by the Supreme Lord of the universe, whose hands hold the guiding reins of the life of all planetary collectivities. Well, that's only one paragraph, the very first paragraph of the book, and we already have so much information here. The books from Emmanuel, they are normally very full of information, but let's try to understand a bit this very first paragraph. And I would say it's a very important point for our discussion today, because it helps us to understand the dimension of the things that we are seeing here. Here we can see this highlighted phrase, in the governance of all the phenomena of our system, there is a community of pure spirits. Well, very first thing, Emmanuel is saying that who is in the governance of everything, there is the pure spirits, is a group of pure spirits. So, and Jesus is one of the member of the pure spirits. So, and here, what he's talking about is this spiritual scale, right? We know that there are many categories, and we can talk here about the imperfect spirits, the good spirits, and the higher order, there are the pure spirits. And then we can see here that these pure spirits, they are working together, because it's saying that a community of pure spirits, they are working together as collectivities, organizing and helping in the development of the solar system, right? So since the beginning, no matter which category we are, we see already that it's very important to learn to work together. And then the next phrase says that this community of the spirits, they were chosen by the Supreme Lord of the universe. Well, here the things get even a bit more complicated, because it's not saying that in this case specifically that we are talking about, it's not even saying that all the pure spirits are together here at this point. Here is a specific group of pure spirits that were chosen to make one job in specifically. That is what we're going to see next, right? And Jesus is one of these angelical beings. So then we can imagine that if Jesus is one of these members, so these pure spirits, they are friends for at least 5 billion years ago. They are already pure spirits for at least 5 billion years ago. Well, and then we come back to ourselves here, right? Sometimes we complain about work, we complain about so much things, and we complain that we are tired of how difficult life is and all those things. And then we look at Jesus and how amazing it is. and how this community of pure spirits, they are already Christs for at least 5 billion years ago. They are friends, they are working together to make everything happen for so long already. And they are not any type of spirits, they are a category of pure spirits inside of the pure spirits category. So always we're gonna have these different categories, and the work always gonna be split according to the needs of God, according to the needs of the universe. And also, the book says next that this community of pure spirits, as far as we know, they just met close to the earth in two special occasions. The very first one was when they get together to create the planet Earth. So then they get together to make the plans to create Earth, to create our solar system, to create what we know today. And the second time that they met was when Jesus was preparing to come to Earth again. So these were the two very important moments that they get together to understand, to make plans for what would come next. And also, look at the very first phrase. The traditions of the spirit world say that. So that's Emmanuel talking. So what he's saying here is that he heard from somewhere. He heard from some spirit that was maybe has more knowledge than him. So, and again, showing the importance of this category of spirits, because even Emmanuel, that is, we know we have so much knowledge, is a good spirit that brought so many important information for us. He does not have access to the pure spirits, because in some ways we need of these spirits needs to follow this hierarchy to understand that we have our specific point to of to learn and to have the new knowledge that we can have according to our level of knowledge. So, and then finally, we get to this point that the book says that this community of pure spirits that we are talking right now, they were choosing to construct this new school. Which school? The Earth, the place that nowadays is our house. And it's quite interesting because what the book says is that God gave a part of the solar nebula to Jesus and to the other spirits to construct what would become our planet. So a nebula would be a combination of many solar systems. So basically, God got a part of this, gave to Jesus and to the other divine architects that were working with him. So now, yes, let's start the work. We need this new school. We need this new place. So let's start to work on that. And then from this, the attachment of the central nucleus of the solar system, Earth was created. And here in this image, we have a comparison between the size of the sun and the Earth. And we can see that compared with the size of the Earth, the size of the moon, Earth is quite small. And then also Chico once was being interviewed by Herculano Pires, and they were talking about the Genesis, about this beginning. And he's in a very respectful way, he says that Christ, Jesus, so he's, of course, he's very powerful, he's Jesus, but we have to imagine that there are even spirits that are even more powerful than Jesus. Well, that's when we say that, we start to think like Paul, right? Because I mean, look this solar system, look how amazing the planet Earth it is and everything. But then let's go to some facts. According to the NASA and also to other studies, only the Milky Way, that is our galaxy, contains 4.1 billion sun-like stars. Well, basically, these studies imagine that we probably have 4.1 billion suns or something very similar with the sun. And we are talking about only the genesis of our solar system, and exists more than 4 billion of other solar systems with more than 100 billion planets. Wow, we're talking about Earth, but look how many more things are out there. And okay, well, but at least we know the Milky Way, we know our galaxy. But you know what? How many galaxies do you think exist? So the estimative is that there are at least, because science, we still don't know everything, but the current study shows that exist at least 200 billion galaxies. Well, now we can make a multiplication of all these numbers and imagine how much planets there are outside there. And because this, she was saying that there are even more powerful Christ, because Jesus is the governor of the earth, which is already so amazing, so powerful. And you're going to see all the details of his creation next. But who are the president of all the Christs? Right? So that's just to highlight these categories of the spirits, of how many categories, even the pure spirits, we have. Now, let's come back to Jesus, right? Let's come back when he was creating earth. Let's come back when he incarnated. So we know that Jesus has these other pure spirits working with him to create earth. And that was pretty important because earth is such an amazing and ambitious project. So we can look around, right? We see how many species, how many different forms of life, trees, and the geology of the planet is everything so amazing. Look how much work they put to make it work. So, and then finally, when God gave this mission to Jesus, let's create earth. So everything in the beginning was kind of an experiment. They need to try different conditions. They need to mold the planet in a way that life could exist here someday, finally. Imagine when this very beginning of hot matter that would become Earth. We had temperatures higher than 2000 Celsius degrees. So it was quite hot. Like, of course, no life could exist there at that moment. And then the book says that the matter was submitted of all type of experiments. They were basically trying different conditions that would work better to allow life to finally become this new school, to find the quality and the potential for building these new schools for these new beings. And then the time starts to pass, as we're going to see, billions and billions of years, and the planet was starting to get better. The combination of these different chemical elements would create new elements, new type of matter, and the planet was slowly taking shape. So the temperatures were somewhat starting to cool down a little bit. And then at that time, according to the Genesis, the animals did not exist. And also a time when they began to appear. So basically each species, the life per se, appeared as soon as the earth acquired the conditions necessary to its existence. So here we can imagine, and this is it is in the book and I was in science, that many chemical reactions was happening, right? And one very important thing that happened in this time that really lately would allow the existence of life was the combination of hydrogen and oxygen that we have now, water, right? And the formation of the primitive oceans that we know that the life, in fact, is starting in the oceans, is starting the water. And also this cold temperature from the space also allow better temperatures in the planet and is slowly helping the conditions on the earth get better to eventually life exist. And then, okay, now we know this big formation of the very first matter, then the planets start to get better conditions. And then, well, but still quite difficult. We don't really have life by now, but the chaos was finally overcome as if by magic. And then what happened? So we have better conditions. We have water, we have a lower temperature, we're starting to have the formation of the atmosphere, and the geology of the country was a little better. So finally, the things start to get to the right place. And just for us to have an idea, since the time that God gave to Jesus the matter to create earth, until to this point that the earth was a bit better, it passed about, guess what, 2 billion of years, 2 billion years. So it's such a long time already. So, and then it's important for us to remember what the eternity means, right? We are talking about Jesus, we are about talking about the creation of the planet, and everything, it takes so much time. And these 2 billion years, what was 2 billion years for Jesus? I don't know if you have idea of this dimension, right? But Jesus was working, Jesus and the other spirits were working no stop for these 2 billion years to get to the earth at a point that the things are a bit better. But again, we are not talking about life here yet. We are just talking about matter. We are just talking about the geology of a planet. And then the landscape began to clear up, and the sun's light start to shine on the new stage of the evolution and light. And then Jesus' hands rested after the long chaotic period of the physical elements of the planet composition. Well, easily 2 billion years working non-stop, working only to put some order in the chaos that was the beginning of the high temperatures, of all this confusion, and see how much they already achieved here. And now we have a planet. We have the beautiful geology. We have the start of the definitions of the physical, of the chemistry, of the geology to define the laws. We had the moon was created as well. That we know is so important for the gravity of our planet. And then, yes, Jesus, together with the divine works, overcome everything, all these difficulties. Starting with this unshaped blob of matter that it, at that time, it requires so much work to then create something magic. So, and then now we are to this point, right? And now what happened next? Sometime later, on the planet's solidified crust, as well as in ocean depths, a viscous substance could be seen covering the whole Earth. What we are talking now? Now we are talking about the very first form of life that appeared in our planet. Wow, that was such a magic moment, right? To get to this point now, since this, when we have these better conditions until we have the very first form of life in the planet, about 3 billion years. So, yes, it's a lot of time. And this very first form of life was a very simple form of life. We are not talking about whole bodies yet. We are talking about a unicellular organism. What it means, the very first form of life was only one cell, but was such an ambitious project. Now we have life. Well, but what is the difference between all this matter that happened before? Why now we can call this life? Well, because now we are also can talk about the vital principle. And the vital principle is what give life to the matter. It what make us, it what make any type of life being to really be alive. So yes, it's matter, but now there is something more to the matter, and is the vital principle. And the spirits, they never stop to work. They always keep planning and organizing and make everything to get to this point The earth was a beautiful environment now to create life, to have this idea, to bring the vital principle, to allow this new earth to be populated now. And then we finally now gonna talk about the Divine Sculptor. Well, we have the very first form of life. And just for us to have an idea, this type of environment here maybe was something similar with what the very first form of life probably appeared. So we know it was on the water. We know the planet was not as it is today, mainly when the very first organism appeared, because it's important to remember that they were trying, they were fixing and improving and making better until we got to the point that we are today. So, and Jesus worked together with the divine works and they overcome all the difficulties that they found until now. They find a solution, they find a way to make life happen, no matter how difficult could be that environment. And imagine that even Jesus, being Jesus, that is, we know how powerful it is, he worked really hard to make the earth become what it is today. It was not easy. Like easily up to this point, he has been worked for 3 billion years, basically no stop. But then when they felt that everything was ready, they start the very first form of life, and was simple, but was not simple because they didn't know how to do. No, it's because they need to think in every single detail. They need to think even in the smallest structure that of a body that we know is the cell, right? Of the plants, of animals, no matter what. They need to think in all these small details because this probably life starts with only one cell. And we also know about the evolution, right? We know that things they change very slowly, they keep improving and they are changing all the time. And it was exactly like that. The divine architects, Jesus, they create these very first cells to then eventually be able to create this complex body. And imagine, like, when we look around us, right? We see the nature, we see so many beautiful things, amazing things that is created. And that was the plan. The plan was really to create something beautiful, but organized, because we have to have these structures to allow life, to allow the spirits to come here, to allow our souls to learn here. We need specific conditions. And that was with everything. The life started in the water. At the same time, we had this evolution of species, and we also, what was happening in the earth now, the trees was starting to appear, and the plants, and this also happened to change the planet. So we have way more oxygen now. And then what they think, what Jesus thought, okay, maybe now we can start to bring different species to earth. Let's start to bring animals to here, right? Why not? Maybe we can try now. And it's very interesting because they also highlight the importance of the ozone layer and the importance to have everything ready to eventually we have human beings for Jesus and for the divine architects be able to allow life as it is today. So, and then now we talk about this beginning of the earth and the very first life and the continuous change that keep happening until the organisms become a bit more complex. So 3 billion of years is a long process since here until to this point that we get here as being humans is still more 2 billion of years. So the evolution of a very simple type of life until all the other species that were created, it took easily more 2 billion years to get to the Homo sapiens. So think about it. If our solar system was created about 5 billion years ago, so we are such babies in now this evolution process, right? The body of us, of human beings, we're still very, very, very early in all this process. Um, Also, let's imagine of how everything was happening, right? It's very clear that God's love, Jesus' love, and all these other pure spirits, the word of the creation was love. Everything was so well planned, so well executed, exactly to with love, exactly thinking how would be important to have this word that would allow life. But us, again, we substitute all this love, all this divine providence with the word nature, with the word evolution, right? We see around and we cannot even imagine how many things happen until get to this point. But now the very first steps were done. So now Jesus could finally place the very first prototype of the life in the planet. And then more 2 billion years that follows give origin as where we are today. So, and then, of course, they understood that from this point, as there are more 2 billion years of work, we need to start to have more complex form of life, right? And then one very important thing that also happened, they start to organize the cells, they start to organize more the matter, and they organize the life, the nutrition, the respiration, all the systems that we know, all the beings need, plants, animals, to then start to create a bit more complex organisms, the multicellular bodies, animals in the water, plants, to get to this point as we know today. All this beautiful, and even like that, we know that the world is still going so many transitions, right? We still finding out new species, and many species is still going in the extinction. So it's a process that happened in the earth. So then we have here this very first water organism. They start to move to earth. And it's very interesting the way that they describe as a workshop of giant experiments. So we have these terrifying animals, right? We heard about the dinosaurs, these other giant animals that they don't exist anymore. Well, why they don't exist anymore, right? The earth keep changing, and also from the spiritual side, they were trying to find the right combination of all the factors that would allow life in the earth, evaluating these combinations and see how it could work out together. They are doing corrections, they were eliminating many species, and they were doing new trials as well. And these trials and all these combinations give origin to everything, the combinations that we see today. And also, it's the law of natural selection, right? The things, they need to evolve together. They need to be adapt to each other. And then this is exactly what Jesus and all the architects, they were doing. They were planning, trying, and make everything beautiful to work together. And the planetary and the planet, we can see that keep going under so many transitions since the very beginning. So many transitions happening and still happening nowadays, maybe in different aspects, but of course it's still happening. So, and here, after more 2 billion years, we got to the Homo sapiens. We're not gonna focus today on the Homo sapiens, but we know how incredible history we have to talk about it. How many transitions. Imagine if we're in fact created about 200, 300,000 years ago, and we still don't know everything about the human creation, but we have been through so many moral transitions, right? The word, the spiritual, our spiritual evolution. We have been with so through so much different things. Only in the 300,000 years ago. Imagine since the very beginning. But yes, that's gonna be a topic that we're gonna explore to the other day. And then yes, we got to the point that we are today. We are human beings, we are souls, we are learning, and we know that the earth is going through this spiritual regeneration, right? And we still have time to help in this project. So it's never too late. Actually, it's the opposite. We are quite new here. So, and there is so much to do, and we can help in this process. And I would say that maybe this is one of our mission, because we always have this question, right? What I'm doing here? What is my mission here? And uh, maybe that's not an easy answer, but we have to think that everything that we can do, we have to try to do our best. If no matter what we do, if we're teachers, nurse, lawyer, we take care of our kids, we whatever we do, we just have to do our best every time. Do the best that you can, and we are fulfilling our mission here. We are learning. We are having the chance to improve and to help in this process of regeneration. We are co-creators. We are here now, and the planet is still evolving, and we have also to help in this process. And always we have to think in our small genesis, right? What can I do to improve myself? What can I do to help the world? Because we have to imagine that Jesus created everything to everyone. Why now I want to create my own world? I don't have to create my own world. I have to learn how to share and add everyone and everything that I can in the world. We have this world to learn together as a soul, as human beings. We always can emerge from the difficulties and trying always to get a better life, right? And everyone has an important role. Everyone. So let's do our best. Let's respect the others. Let's work for the common well being, a word for everyone. And because this word, it is for everyone. Jesus, all the time, create all this beautiful word that we see to give us a chance to learn, to evolve, and to find our way to the light. That's it. Thank you so much for your time and have a great week.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Very enlightening talk. And I gotta say that I love the images you select on your slides. You know, I'm a very visual person, so as you're talking and I'm seeing the pictures, I can tell, a bunch from it. We have some extra minutes, and I'd like to open the chat if you have any questions about what Elaine brought us today, and feel free to send the message now, the questions. In the meantime, Elaine, you started saying that you are a science person, you're a biologist,
Yes.
and as you're going through this, preparing this presentation and basing everything that you learn in science compared to what the Spiritist brings in these two amazing books, uh, did it bring any, not confusion, but did it bring any thing different from what you learned, from what you believe? Any clashes there?
Yeah, I guess it made me understand even not understand the complexity, but understand how complex the things are, right? Because if you think just in a science point of view, that is already complex enough, it's not easy at all. But we have all this planning and all this trial, and we understand also, I guess, for me, one of the things that was most amazing was the dimension of the time, because for the evolution we know, but when you think like Jesus and how much work, and sometimes we complain about time, oh, we're 30 and some years, and oh, life is hard and we have to do that, and then we think like 5 billion years, 2 billion years, like it's so less, and we have so much more to learn and to offer for the others and mainly for ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we are very we are people that we want things for done yesterday, right? So we don't have much patience, for things that take too long, and that's why sometimes it's kind of complicated for us to understand. But I have a question here from Antulio. What was your main learning when preparing this study?
Well, I would say that is to clarify this understanding that nothing just happened. Everything has a plan and everything has a purpose. And sometimes we just can't understand or see where this purpose is leading us. But there is a purpose for everything. And sometimes we just need to be patient that things gonna get to the point where they should get.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. Another thing here from Rosalie, this study made me thinking about our anxiety. Imagine Jesus with anxiety. Wow, yeah, working for billions of years to see his project done. Hmm?
Yeah, that's quite interesting actually. I was discussing something like that with Enrique actually because imagine you have to put order in all this chaos, right? But as I was reading and I could understand, so Jesus he is such a perfect spirit. He's so pure and he has so much knowledge that I don't think that anxiety maybe was a real problem for him but the hard work. So yeah, we always think about anxiety and about how difficult it is. But I guess I was always imagine like if you have an orchestra, right? And you have someone controlling everything that is happening in a such organized and beautiful way. And that's how I see that Jesus was doing the work. He was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's doing good. Let's keep going. It's working. Let's improve. So that's my personal point of view. How
Yeah,
things,
I like the way you say sculpture, divine sculpture, right? Because
yeah.
it's an art. Imagine Jesus with anxiety, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna make this round. Let me make it squarish, the Earth,
Yes.
right?" Okay, so Luis Coutinho has here a comment, an interesting way to compare the history of the Earth and the time man appeared on Earth. If everything was resumed to 1 year to be the time of the Earth, man would have appeared at at least a second of the last hour of December 31st.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, so it's a little bit difficult for me to read. Anyways, thank you so much again, Elaine.
Thank you.
It was amazing. I enjoyed quite a bit, and I'm sure that others enjoyed as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the irradiation, to our prayers, and I would like to call my dear friend Tati to help us out with that. Tati, can
Good
you hear me?
morning. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, man. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. All right. Well, thank you, Elaine. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sunrise Spiritist, for the opportunity for us to provide this platform where we can actually enlighten ourselves and make the work and reflect about our lives with those studies every Sundays and Tuesday and Thursdays. Well, I would like to invite everybody to close your eyes and picture Jesus, our role model, and would you like to thank you, God, for this opportunity once again to be here today, all united, to learn more, to understand more about our planet, about ourselves? Would you like to thank the Benedict spirits who are always with us, helping us, guiding us? And would you like to thank God for our planet, our home, so perfect today, from the tiny little insect to the majesty of the sunrise or the sunset, from the newborn to the most old person on earth who has so much to learn to teach us. And if we do have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, would you like to thank God for our homes, for the food on the table, for the farms that provide us fruits and vegetables and grains, for all the workers who make that happen to get to our tables? Would you like to thank God for the opportunities we have every single day either at work, at home, to help ourselves to do better, helping one another, being patient, loving one another. May we, as human beings and spirits incarnated, see the opportunity every single day in your lives. May you protect and bless and guide all the people who does not maybe not have a roof on top of their heads, food on their table, dealing with some type of injury, disease. May you, God, bless all the people in the streets, in the hospitals. May they still have the courage to keep seeking for your love, for your guidance, and for instance, all of us here in this planet may feel lost, hopeless. May we remember about Jesus and follow his steps, his actions, no matter how difficult it is, how he always was loving first everyone and everybody, selfless, kind. We thank you for this opportunity once again. May we all have a blessed week. And once again, having the eyes to see the opportunity we have on this time, today, now, not tomorrow, to do better, to get better, protect our families, near or far, protect our home, our cities, our states, our countries. May we all have a blessed week once again. And we thank you once again for this opportunity to be here today. And so be it.
So be it. Thank you so much, Tati. Now the final announcements. I'm going to ask Claudia to start for us. Claudia, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Demetrius. I'll do the final announcement and I'll also end the meeting. If I can ask just a little bit more of your patience, today we're just going to talk about our website. For those that are visiting us today for the first time, our website, sunrisespiritist.org, on the homepage is where you can find the link for our ESD, which is the study that we have at 9:15 a.m. in Portuguese, and also our public meetings. The link is also here on our homepage. We also have youth education at the same time as the adult class. Actually, today our teens were combined with our class, but we do have separate classes for the kids 7 to 11, 12 to 15, and we do have a group 16 and plus that has been combined just temporarily while we are online with our teams. And also on our website, I would like to invite all of you, if we have not done yet, to visit our calendar. On our calendar, you will find our weekdays activities. We do have our the Spirits book studies. It's on Tuesday. And if you click there, the link for you to join is over here on the venue and also on the description of the course. On Wednesday, we also have reflections on the gospel according to the Spiritism. The link is there on the calendar for you to join as well. Both of these meetings are in Portuguese. And last but not least, if you don't know, also under activities, we have our prayer list or irradiation. We have our group of irradiation that meets several days of the week, and they pray for everybody. And also, if you have a specific request or someone, you can come here in our website, type and submit. Our irradiation group will receive your request, and they will be praying specifically for what you put here in our website. And that's it. That's what we have today, is just a quick view of our website. We also have our message board, and I invite everybody to just, browse through our website. Thank you very much. Thank everybody for joining today. Have a great week.